We long for go a stage show. We long for go a dance. But they must say we must social distance. You know, see how much we advance. Yes, we would have loved to go jump on France. I am a Rastafarian. You know, so from about 17, I start a whole vibe and I learn the thing.
For over 47 years.
From 1980.
Enough years. Ras mean head and Tafari mean one to be feared. So Rastafari is someone that came out of the Ethiopian land. Someone who I see as the deity. As a Rastafarian, COVID-19 is a fulfillment of loads of prophecies that we have been talking about. And even simple people in that walk around every day always I say that earthquake, hurricane, storm, flood, diseases upon diseases, nation against nation, you know, mother against father, brother against sister, and all of that kind of stuff.
How I feel about the COVID-19? Well, it's a dangerous thing and it is quite scary. So what I do, I make sure that all my family members and friends around me wear the mask, keep the distance, wash their hands thoroughly, and do the right thing.
There's a lot of caution and speculation about how one should react, especially in this COVID-19 time. From long time, Rastas would say a lot of these vaccines were introduced to kill out black people. And when Rastas say that, it's talking about the racialization of public health that the African community in the diaspora has experienced. I don't know if you're aware of the Tuskegee experiment, for example, that lasted for 40 years, where black people were being experimented on to see how gonorrhea would travel and syphilis would travel through their bodies without the vaccination, without penicillin, right? And there's the impression that within the Rastafari community that AIDS was also created as a method of vacuuming the population, especially of Africa. It was introduced from what Rastas believe in the vaccine, the polio vaccine.
But think when your goodie or your body is made, it is completely made. This vaccine that is here now, let me talk about that little. AstraZeneca. In recent time, I have seen where people like Denmark and other countries kind of put it on a pause because people are having blood clot and all sort of embolism because of that. We see it in Jamaica rolling out in a big way with some loads of people talking about it and saying that whatever people are thinking about depopulating the earth it's lie and like people are unintelligent. May I ask them to just behave themselves? Because this is the age of information. And people know all of the different adjuvants and all of the things that they use to make these vaccines. What are they? Can somebody tell us? Can somebody tell us if you take it, what will happen to you? They can't, because they are going to say that the efficacy of it is mentioned by WHO. You think does everybody believe in WHO, what them say? A lot of people do not. And all of these new vaccines that are rolling out, especially these for COVID-19, it has not been here for 2 years. So nobody knows if after 5 years after you take it, what is going to happen to you. So I am saying that it's just a chance people are taking.
If you take it, it can be a risk. If you don't take it, it can also be a risk. One of my daughters had missed one vaccine and she got diphtheria and she was admitted in the hospital. And then that was scary because she was in the hospital for a month It was partially intentional because you said that you don't trust Babylon's system. And then we suffer from not giving her the vaccine because it could have killed her. And it could cause long-term complication. But luckily, we found out about it early, took her to the hospital, our throat was infected, our nose, all of that. And the doctors did a good job.
I have a bunch of moringa trees in my yard. I eat the seeds, I use the leaves, I drink the tea. I liberally use turmeric in everything that I cook. And I would like to think that you are what you eat. And if your food is your medicine and your medicine is your food, then you don't have to be chasing after mirages for the antidote.
If you want to deal with people DNA and you want to get into that levels, use what can strengthen your immune system. If the immune is what where they're trying to go, to strengthen it or to build the immune, to have the defense mechanism against COVID-19, why we don't teach the people to stop eat fast food? Why fast food advertisement are so much on television and radio, and we have such high rate of obese children in Jamaica and children with diabetes? Why don't we try to get back to the Rastafarian teaching of being plant-based eaters, of using herb as your medicine?
I'm vegan for 45 years, yes, and my children grew up as vegan, except I did give them the vaccine, as I told you.
So that would be the only unnatural, quote-unquote, thing that you have done?
Yes. And wear clothes, which is unnatural. So if they're going to be extreme, you have to
Stop wear clothes too.
stop wear clothes.
There's a notion that this could be bioterror. You know, how do we know that it's not a population control mechanism, given the Malthusians that still remain with us who think that there are too many people in the world? You know, and Malthusians have not disguised the racialization of their thought and their intent. So why should we trust them?
Me is not an anti-vaccine person because of COVID-19 and what is happening now. A long time, me, stay so. Anybody who know me, know that we fight for children to go into institution without being vaccinated. And not just from a Rastafarian perspective, but from a health perspective. Because we don't think that someone should be forced to do that. I think you should have the right to do it if you want it, because we're not fighting who doing it now. But I just think that the powers that be should let people know that as far as the efficacy is concerned, we're not sure, we're not certain. Is here we're hearing from what others are saying, and those who are selling these stuff are people who are very powerful and can get information all over the world. But people who are scientific minded, who are doing research on these things, are coming up with all sorts of things that is odd, all sorts of things that are saying that, boy, it is not good for you. And the truth is nobody knows, because it's last year COVID forward, and therefore they don't have enough time to test these things. Or them can't find one for AIDS yet.
This is not a mandatory process. It's optional, so people can choose to not take the vaccine. We will encourage persons to take the vaccine. Vaccines are proven to be very effective in keeping off diseases in the past, and Jamaica has a strong culture of using vaccines. To the extent that we have small groups in the society that have alternative opinion, we will reason with them, we'll talk to them, we'll respect their wishes at the end of the day.
I think that there should be the option of choice and the notion of human rights embedded in our approach to implementing this plan and how we respond to the threat of COVID. Because if the hand washing, social distancing, stay at your yard, work from home is not sufficient, then why should we then be like part of the herd to just be cowed into doing something that is against our choice and against our notion of what our rights are. You know, I think there should be room for the rights-based approach to have legitimacy, because, you know, the campaign now, my body, my choice, I'm from that point of departure, because if people in Holland have the right to euthanasia, then I should have the right to decide not to take the vaccine.
And what should be the government's message, though, if they want to try to get persons within the culture to accept the vaccine?
I think if they started out with that, your body, your choice, as an accepted protocol, and then, you know, launch the persuasion tactics from there, then I think people would just say, well, at least I respected the fact that I have the right to refuse. I have the right to make up my mind slowly. I have the right to engage with agency. You know, we're not all passive sheep in this scenario.
We have a strategy to inform all of the country, and in some instances we'll target some groups in the country. If there's an individual by virtue of religion, for example, that is not convinced that vaccines work for them, then it's hard to convince and overcome that objection. And since it is optional, then they have the option not to take it. We hope that is not the majority, but it is the minority. And so we'll continue to push the message and the value of vaccines.
Me, nah encourage nobody to take the vaccine. Nah tell you not to take it either, because as I said, everyone, they have their right. But your right sometimes doesn't mean that it is right.
When the virus just came out, I said, boy, I'm not taking this vaccine, you know, I'm not going to take it. And some people say, I agree with you, Yvonne, don't take it. And then I thought about it, and I see people dying, people getting sick. And I say, it's a chance, it's a 50-50.
The wickedest thing about all this, Empress, is that if I take this vaccine, I still have to wear a mask. If I take this vaccine, I still have to do social distancing. And if I take this vaccine, I still can get COVID-19. That must stop me from catch it. So when I better take it, if I better start. You see how long it there? I'm gonna catch it, and or maybe I catch it already and kill it. But I would prefer to do what I am doing now.
I've decided that I am going to try it.
I would wait and see. I would give it the usual period that I think is normal for a vaccine to be under scrutiny before you give it the 100% green light. So give me a year and a half, give me 2 years to let me see how it works in other people's bodies. I'm as naturopath as I can make it. I do visit the doctor for checkups like my mammogram and my pap smear and these things. But for the most part, and I'm 60 years old, I don't get ill on a regular basis. And I hope it stays that way till I'm ready to go to Shatai country.